Hey, this is Randy with Carchaeology, and I wanted to do a quick walk around video with you guys of this 1963 Volkswagen Beetle that we just picked up and brought back to the lab yesterday. Now, I was called or emailed by the son of the original owner of this car, and his father passed away, and this little Beetle was sitting in the garage. And as he's clearing out the estate, this is one thing that needed to go. His father actually didn't buy it new. I think he bought it in 1967, based on the stories that I've heard. And he used it for many years. He logged all the mileage, every tank of gas in it, all the way up into probably the mid-90s is what I can tell, and then parked it at some point. Now, he was a real interesting man. He worked for the Navy. You see this Naval Undersea Center. He actually worked with dolphins that were used for reconnaissance missions and stuff, for spying on the enemy, using dolphins. Gotta love that. And he did a variety of other stuff, worked at China Lake in the Weapons Center on rockets and things like that. But this was his driver. And apparently the car actually even spent some time in Hawaii at one point during its life. But it's a really nice, original, unmucked with car. Now, the one thing that is interesting is that it does have the Wolfsburg crest on it, which ended in 1962, but it is registered as a 1963 model. So I'll have to research that VIN number and see if maybe it was a late 62 production or whatever it might be. It does have what appear to be Porsche wheels on it. This one's a painted one on the car. They're chrome, and you can tell the shape of these slots here. That helps identify the Porsche wheel. Now, whether they're actually Porsche or if they're the Mangle aftermarket ones that were done at some point, I don't know. But lots of great touches on this particular car. You can see the original tool roll is still there. The jack is there with the handle. It looks super straight around the front. Hood closes nice, locks in place. So it's definitely not one that's been battered or bashed in. Another little tip to look at is that curve right there. You see how close that fits across the top there. If a car's been hit real hard in the front and that front apron's been compromised, it can throw that whole bit off of there. Now, the car has been repainted at some point in its original Gulf blue color. It looks like this is remnants of a 76 ball on there, and it does have the factory sunroof, which is a really desirable thing. Definitely been sitting for a while. We've got a bunch of cobwebs and stuff underneath. But the dash is spectacular. It looks like it's still original carpet and mats in there. The original door panel. The headliner, I believe, has been replaced at one point. That the fit of that is not quite factory. It's got a Blaupunkt radio in the dash, which is pretty slick. The condition of the steering wheel seems very nice. Not a whole lot of cracks or wear on it. Still has the original seat belts there. It does look like these seats have been recovered. These are sitting on here a little baggy, and you can feel the original cover underneath there. Really curious to maybe peel those off and see what the condition of that original interior might be underneath. Or I might leave that to the next person. Nice little history here. Service stickers and the door jambs. And speaking of door jambs, rock solid. This is a spot where commonly they rust out. You'll see issues right there. This one is fantastic. Listen to that door close. It does have some scratches and some little boo-boos there. It's got the amber top tail lights, which is normally a European thing. And that's one thing that I noticed that was kind of interesting with this car, and I'll show you on the interior, that there's a couple of things that lead me to believe that it might have been a European delivery car to start with. Oh, here's remnants of its trip to Hawaii right here. I love that sort of stuff. So that was 1979, if I'm reading that right. And the engine in here looks bone stock. I'm going to have to check the number on that and see if it actually is the original engine for it. but it's very possible. Now this is a stale air 40 horse. You can see it's got the 36 horse style fan shroud that just curves over. And there's no outlets here for the heater, which you would see on a later 40 horse or up into the 1600s, where you'd have the fresh air hose that goes from here down to there. And it does have the big distributor on it, which is a good early 40 horse setup. Looks like we've got some spider eggs there, some cobwebs in the corners. We'll have to clean that stuff out and make sure there's not any inhabitants there. Looking underneath it, you can definitely see it's been sitting for quite a while. A little grungy underneath, but that floor pan up front there is very solid, and that's an exciting thing. Let me get around the other side here. Now it does have a couple little boo-boos. There's a little kink in the fender here. Looks like original German running boards still on it. Another view of the inside. Here, look at that. Original mats and carpet. Beautiful shape. Now here's one of the details that clued me on to the possible history of it. That steering lock was commonly installed on European delivery models, and in US models there would have been an ignition switch right on the dash there next to the ashtray. The Blaupunkt radio might be a Euro thing as well, although that might have been added later on. It does have a miles per hour speedometer, but in looking through some of the service records of it in the early days, let's see, was it this book or this book? Let's see, somewhere in here I saw that miles were marked in kilometer in one of the books. But I love this sort of paper trail. You see stuff where, you know, every mile is marked, every tank of gas is marked, any bit of service, adjusted valve, so on and so forth. All of that was taken care of. And that shows that the owner was somebody that was very particular about their car, understood the importance of proper maintenance, and that definitely helps a ton when it comes to longevity. So this car, by looking at the books, has certainly well over 100,000 miles on it. It might have even turned over twice, but the condition sure doesn't show it. So this man took care of his car. The last entry here was in January of 1996 with 19,723 miles on it. Looks like he put a tank of gas in it. And looking at the odometer right now, well, it's at 19,000 and change right now. So it hasn't been driven really since 1996. There's a couple of early registration slips. One thing I noticed there is his name, his initials are actually the license plate on the car, 003 GKO, and it is Gregory Ottinger. I even love this little auto parts bag that had the owner's manual and all of that in there. Super, super, super cool car. Obviously well kept, well cared for, and it's been sitting for a while. Now our goal with this car is to clean it up, to fire it up, preserve as much of this finish as we can, just really make it the best that we can without doing any sort of heavy restoration, and then it's going to be put on the market for sale. So we're trying to help the estate of the owner here with a good cleanup, with some preservation, with revitalization, and then we will market it and push it out there to the world. So if you are looking for a really good, solid 63 factory sunroof Beetle in Gulf Blue, keep on watching oldbug.com. When this baby's done, it will be posted. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe. More great stuff to come.